going to record here for a moment, make sure our sound's okay. So go ahead and talk just a little bit, Marlon, just so we got a sound sample. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, right here at our first performance of the Mountain Cove Rodeo. We've got cowboys and cowgirls from all over the southeastern United States here this weekend competing for hundreds of dollars on some of the very toughest livestock to ever come in the southeastern United States. Rodeo, America's #1 sport, and we welcome you all here today. As we get started, we're going to start off with a grand entry. I don't know much, but I know a pretty woman and a fast horse when I see it. By golly, this is the barrel racing event coming down the center alleyway. I will tell you, this is a lady driver. Get out of the way.
So introduce Preston Folks, rodeo company, just like you would on a mic.
All right, we'd like to introduce you today to our rodeo stock contractor, one of the most famous rodeo stock contractors in the nation. Not only built up from the Lone Star Rodeo Company, but the great Preston Folks Rodeo Company formerly out of Marfa, Texas, now coming into Franklin, Tennessee, putting on some of the very top rodeos in the country. Now it's the Lone Star Rodeo, and they're located at the ranch headquarters in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
And where is the Mountain Cove Rodeo that you're announcing, Marlon? Stay right in it. Where are we?
Well, the Mountain Cove Rodeo right here is a little town, and I think the address may be Chickamauga. It could be Kensington, or it could be Lafayette. But it's located out here in an area where Pigeon Mountain and Lookout Mountain come together, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. People come here, they ride bicycles, motorcycles, hike, just come here, and it's run by some wonderful people that work for the county that take it very, very serious all the time.
And originally 17,000 acres.
I believe that's correct. If we look on my right side out of the bus here, that's Pigeon Mountain, and that's wildlife management area now, but on this side is owned by the county of Walker County.
Okay, and we're parked by, we got the BTC bus, parked by the show barn. How in the world did this barn get its name?
Well, back in the old days, the way I understand it, and there's a lot of history that a lot more people can tell you than me, but it was a famous Hereford farm, and they had, and I can't say this word, Hardshear hogs.
Hardshear hogs.
And I think it came out of Germany or somewhere, come and bought this, and just a wonderful place.
Yeah.
But the show barn now is like a wedding venue, and that's where we decided to start having the Mountain Cove Reunion. One reason is we outgrew everywhere else 10 years ago when we first started, so we decided to come here, and the people that run it just love us, and we love them, and it's out here where people can have a good time, hoot and holler, pick and grin, it doesn't matter.
Okay. And when, tell us about starting. What was the first annual, was it called the Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion back then?
Well, not really. It was called Let's Get Together.
Everybody just got together. Why'd you get together?
Well, this area is where Mr. Folks had his finals. And when I was 12 years old, I came up here with the Sweetwater Saddle Club and actually camped with the Saddle Club right out here by the airstrip that we're actually looking at here from the bus. And 5 years later, this is where Mr. Folks had his finals, and there were some IRA rodeos here, but it was mostly big open rodeos. And then he joined the IRA and started putting them on like Franklin and all the others. But this is where he would have his finals on Labor Day weekend. And everybody came. They would be people sitting all over these hills in lawn chairs and blankets, and then there was bleachers on the other side. And they loved the rodeo. It was so good. It was big, and people loved the stock. They loved the whole atmosphere of the farm and here. So what happened about 10 years ago to this weekend, I called up some friends of mine, and I said, hey, why don't we meet at Mountain Cove on Labor Day weekend I got nowhere to go, and let's sit around, talk, tell stories, and watch football. And we sure enough did. And it was about 12 or 15 of us, and it started out 8 of us in the parking lot of one of the cabins, and next thing you know, 15, 16 people started driving up, and that's how it started.
You bet. And this year or last year, I mean, big head count.
I think we had around between 200 and 250 last year, and we're expecting somewhere between 250 and 300 people this year.
You bet. And all the volunteers helping you here. You got to talk about that.
Oh, just like the lady here, Ruth, she just pulled up and she brought a carload of cakes. And then you met my great friend Rusty and his wonderful wife Susan, and they're over there cooking brisket right now, getting ready for tomorrow. And Susan, Rusty's wife, used to own a restaurant here called Susan's Diner, or a restaurant, dine in or dine out. And she just loves to cater food and have people, and wonderful families here in the Cove, including not only Rusty, his wife, their son, and you just met my great new friend, Jamie Holsey, who has the Wildlife Federation here next weekend. So the locals have gotten involved with it.
You bet.
And they love to come too and see all the cowboys and love to hear all the stories. So one interesting thing about the reunion is Bishop Arnold, as you know, my friend, well, his brother was Mr. Arnold, we called him, and his name was Mr. Charles Arnold. And he come here every year. He loved the reunion. And he said, I can't wait to get to the Liars Cabin on Saturday afternoon because I want to hear all the stories, because I know half of them not true, but some of them going to be really good. And so that's the kind of people that we've built up to, and the families coming. And we give away something my wife and I came up with several years ago called the Legends Award. And this is for recognition of great work in the past of what they've did in rodeo. Like Mr. Arnold was our very first recipient. Ricky Smith, who is a legend here in the county, lives right down the road. And it's just unbelievable, the people that live in there and that love to come here and be part of it. And we'll give away somewhere around 10 Legends Awards tomorrow, a couple of volunteer awards, and we got a group coming tomorrow, too. It's called the Cowboy Church of Jerusalem, headed up by Miss Rebecca Hampton. And we'll have church in the morning at 9 o'clock, and it'll last till about 10:30. And some really nice testimonies and people come to that. And it's headed up by Mr. Ernie Roberts and Benny Kimball and his wife. I think I said that right. But Rebecca, she heads up the Church of Jerusalem, the Cowboy Church of Jerusalem, which is made up of a bunch of fantastic kids, people in the community. And I just really look forward to you meeting her tomorrow. These children, they ride in the grand entry at so many rodeos everywhere they go. And they're all great Christian kids. And Rebecca brings a lot of people into her circle, and not only do they learn to ride horses there, they plant food. They learn to farm. They learn to do a little bit of everything, and she's just a remarkable lady, and I look forward to you meeting her and Benny tomorrow.
Okay. And we want to talk a little bit about Ricky Smith, a great bull rider from this area. I don't know if he'll be up to the reunion. We definitely, Marlon, we got to get him on the show.
Got to get him on the show.
But do tell, if you would, he had an accident not so terribly long ago. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Ricky is a true American, and he loves to ride mules, and he still rides. I'm not exactly, I think Ricky may be 75, 76 now. But you talking about a cowboy son of a gun. Now, he started me, he started everybody. That half the people at this reunion were inspired by Ricky Smith. Well, about last year maybe, he was riding a mule right up here on top of Pigeon Mountain, and somehow or another him and the mule disagreed, and the mule did not want to go across this mud hole, And Ricky, being the real cowboy that he is, he more or less insisted that the mule go across the mud hole. Well, I don't know a lot about mules, but the last time we looked, they said that Ricky was under a tree. The mule was standing there looking at him, and it threw him off, and actually, partially, I think it broke his neck.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's up on the mountain, and I just talked to the guy that was riding with him the other day, and he said it was so bad we couldn't get an ambulance up there. We couldn't get a helicopter up there. So this gentleman, really great guy, he had to go up to a higher point and shoot his rifle for Rusty and Cody and the families to get a side-by-side to go up on the mountain and get Ricky.
Just so they could show where they were.
To find him.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
Just like the guy you met here, my great friend Rusty Hayes and
Yes.
his family, they jumped on the side-by-sides. The grandkids got in there with them and went up on the mountain and got him and brought him back down to where they could get him in an ambulance and get him to Erlanger in Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm. And how is Ricky today?
Ricky is great. He's still riding around these mountains. He's liable to be right down here in the sitting behind a tree looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
Might not come up, but
Yeah.
he says, well, I'll just sit back here and see all my friends. But he's a little bit of a loner,
Okay.
which was that era of people.
Sure.
But I will tell you this, that there's not a respected, loved man that ever came out of the southeastern United States than Ricky Smith.
You bet. You bet. And we aren't sitting very far from where Ricky Smith and Preston Folks Rodeo and all that took place, right?
Right down here at the bottom of the hill, and tomorrow morning you and I will ride down there, and I'll show you where the old arena was. The barn is still there, and the people that run this Mountain Cove farm, the people that work here, Jenna and Cole, the staff, they just go out of their way to make sure everybody has a great time and a safe time.
You bet.
And a good atmosphere to bring your children, that you're not afraid to take them somewhere that you might not want to be.
You bet. And campground up there. So if somebody's looking to come up, there's campgrounds up there. They got power, they got water up there. And I heard this, that you don't charge, but there's a pitch in. Kind of like when you jump in a van, you put your money in the pot. Kind of that volunteer kind of a giving.
Yeah, and what we do is we have so many people that come, we couldn't set up a registration, and not everybody wants to do that. So we made it a no pressure come. You just come here, and if you got $2, throw it in the hat. If you got more than that, throw it in the hat. We have people make donations to it every year, and we furnish everything, the barn, and I furnish the cabin for my friends, that volunteers that come, and we just have us a big time in that cabin. But all my friends are down there right now. They're watching Georgia football, hollering and screaming at each other. And there'll be people coming a little bit later on this afternoon. And if it cools off and no rain, they'll be doing some picking and grinning at the Liars Cabin, number 2.
Liars Cabin. And we're hoping to pick up some conversations while we're here. So you're going to be pointing some cowboys, cowgirls at us, tell their stories. Golly, we're looking for stories on Preston Folk and this Mountain Cove Rodeo that went on so long down here.
That's right.
And who were some of the cowboys? There's a bunch of cowboys. I feels like I'm in cowboy country, kind of a cowboy central place here.
Yeah, I mean, people would come from Mississippi like Buddy Chapman. So many great riders. Dusty Townsend, a local here, was one of the top riders in the country. He just didn't like to travel. But you talking about a bareback riding son of a gun. He was great. And Ricky, he was so great. He could ride bareback horses and bulls too. But when it come hunting season, he wasn't going. It was over.
Yeah.
And he'd be in the top 15 of the IRA. And he would just, hunting season come, nobody can find him. Like I say, he's probably down there looking at us right now going, see all my friends, but I can't seem to get up there.
Yeah. Okay. And how's the best way for these folks to get a hold of you?
Well, the very best way is I have a web page that was created called the Mountain Cove Cowboy and Cowgirl Reunion, and they can message me through Facebook.
You're on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook,
Okay.
and it's called the Mountain Cove Cowboy and Cowgirl Reunion.
Okay.
You're pretty close if you get that in there.
Yeah.
And we post pictures of the event. We actually put some obituaries in there, sad to say, but, we've been losing a lot of people. And one thing about the webpage that was set up, we can give glory to God and also to glory to the people that were here and not with us anymore.
You bet. You bet. Well, speaking for Beyond the Chutes, we appreciate all your support, your guidance. You've helped us meet some great cowboys and cowgirls and got a bunch of good stories for us on our show, and looking to make a bunch of new friends this weekend, Marlon.
We're glad to have you, Doug. Really glad.
Good to be here. And that is, we are at the 10th annual Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion. What'd you say, Chickamauga?
Yeah, it's probably got
less.
a Chickamauga address.
Yeah.
We're just not very far from the Tennessee line.
You bet.
So-
You bet. And if you're bringing in a big rig, come in from the north side. I hear there can be trouble if you come in from the other side. So do be careful coming up across 136. And Marlon, I asked you this yesterday. Did they bring pots of cattle? Did Preston folks come up across that mountain to get his horses and his cattle here?
I'm going to have to ask some more historians on that, but I've got a lot of people I'm going to try to hook us up with. If we don't hook up with us this weekend, there's a lot of stories on that road coming off the mountain of the days of the Rollins family, the families that drove cattle from that mountain up there and on top and then down into here.
Well, some of these roads, I think Daughtry Gap was the name of one of the roads. I think it'd work great for driving cattle. It looked like a cattle path.
If they jumped off the side, they could take the short way down.
They could take the short way down. Well, Marlon, we thank you for stopping by. We're going to have fun this weekend and meet a lot of cowboys. So thank you for being on Beyond the Chutes.
You're welcome.
So we're here at Mountain Cove Cowboy Reunion. Marlon Harris, this is the 10th year anniversary of this great show up here, this great gathering, this cowboy gathering. And we got a great guest with us today here, Mr. Bill Harris. Welcome, Bill.
Well, it's great to be here. It's a great place to do anything, I tell you.
So tell me a little bit about your background. Tell me how many years you've been coming to this great reunion.
Well, I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. I was raised in town there, and but this is my 6th year, I think, that I've been here out of the 10.
Okay. Seen it grow a bit over those years?
Yeah, the first couple of years, when he first started it, he posted a couple of things on Facebook, and I thought, that seems like fun, but I'd always talk myself out of coming, And then Marlon called me around Christmas one year. And I said, how's that thing working out up there? It sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, come on. You know how Marlon is. So I drove my old truck up here. I didn't know if I was going to make it, but that first year I made it. And it was just unreal. The fact of being here, and of course I hadn't been around a lot of rodeos in 20 years or so. So a lot of these people from up in this Georgia area I got to see for the first time in a long while.
Okay. And when did you meet Marlon?
That's an interesting story. The first time I ever met Marlon was in David Morgan's pasture down there in Davie, Florida. And we had gone down there. I was with a guy from New Mexico, and we had caught a ride down to Davie. Ended up at David Morgan's house because the guy was a friend of David's, Neil Owens. And we were walking out looking at the horse or something, and here comes Marlon up out of the pasture. So we got introduced, and then later that night after the rodeo, me and the other guy that I was with, we didn't win anything. We went to this motel to see if we could find a place to stay. Marlon comes around in his truck. I don't know who he was visiting. hey man, can we go with you? No, I'm busy. And I didn't see him again for a good while. I think a rodeo in Alabama that we were mistaken. I was getting down on the horse, and the contractor says, no, this isn't your horse. This isn't your horse. Marlon, this isn't your horse. And I looked and I said, I'm not Marlon. But, so and then I came back and started riding in the American Cowboy Association. Okay. And that was where we kind of got to go together on the weekends. And because all the time before, we really had never been to the same rodeos. He went one way, I went the other. And so it's good to be back and get to remember all those times.
Beautiful country.
It's kind of like almost a spiritual trip. Mm-hmm. Just the fact of being in this cove and to think about everybody that's been in this cove before us, and that it's still here and it's not commercialized, and it's kind of like it just fits so well with what all this is.
Did you, and right down the road here, maybe what, a half mile, 3/4 of a mile is the barn where the rodeo arena was set up. Did you ever get to attend this rodeo?
The first rodeo I came, I believe, was a little closer up there in town. I came to one of Presti's finals, I think in 78 or something like that.
Okay.
And that was my taste of that. It was, but I got up here and then I came to, but I'd never been to one down here in the Cove.
Yeah. As you said, a very spiritual place here in the Cove, and memories come rushing back.
The trip up here, my wife, this is her first year to come. And it's funny because I've rodeoed a lot in Alabama. It's like every exit, whatever town it is, I said, let me tell you about what happened here. So she got that the whole way up here.
Okay.
So it's
coming up across the mountain and everything.
Oh yeah. You come. It's a pleasure, and since I've been coming, I try to, it's not a big party, but it's just and it's hard to explain what it actually is.
Yeah. A lot of energy is what it is.
Oh yeah.
It feels good. Man, looking out over here, I don't know the head count, upwards of 200, I would guess.
I think so. I think I counted well over 100 earlier.
Yeah.
And
and just neat to see, and you can just see a lot of guys grouped up and sharing stories and telling stories, and some of them may be true, Bill.
Some of them are actually true, and so somebody will be telling something, and I go, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. But then it'll click something else.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, we appreciate you being on the show and sharing with us.
Well, I appreciate you being here. This is an opportunity you got a lot of people in here that gives you the chance to find out a lot of things.
You bet. And we're going to try to gather. So if you're talking to anybody that starts telling a story, tell them to step over here.
All right.
Let's get that story recorded. Let's get it out there to the world. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Bill Harris.
Thank you.
Hey, Ruthie. I'm going to get her.
Oh.
Look what we did.
That's Davy Phipps's red bill.
Oh, that's not yours?
Oh, no, but
all right.
You have to ask for help when you cook with this many people.
Okay. So, if you have this many people, you got to have good food, and there's a bunch of people here, and I got to tell you, one of the high points of this whole deal, if you're going to go to one table, you go to the one that's got the green tablecloth on it, and you probably can't tell it's green because it's covered in desserts. And Ruthie is with me here, Ruthie Ledford. And Ruthie, step up here. And you baked every one of these desserts.
No, but most.
Most? How many did you bring?
14.
14. You brought 14. Run down the list of what you brought, if you would, please.
Mexican cheesecake.
Mexican cheesecake.
Vanilla wafer cake.
Yeah.
2 apple pies, 2
Yeah.
baby plum cakes,
Yeah.
chocolate cream cheese pound cakes, just a chocolate cake with sprinkles for the kids,
Nice.
apple poke cake, Boston cream pie poke cake.
Yeah. And if you were going to point me at one, I can only have one.
Mexican cheesecake.
Is that the deal?
Yep.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up in this area.
Rocky Face.
How far
Georgia.
is that from here?
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Ernie and I went all the way through school together.
You did. You and Ernie Roberts, who was on. Yeah, okay.
Right.
I met Ernie yesterday.
I live across the street from his sister. I'm like his other sister.
Okay. Okay. And Ernie Roberts, of course, the bull rider.
Right. I was a barrel racer,
You were.
and I threatened him every day. If you tell anybody at school I'm a barrel racer,
Yeah.
I'll bite your kneecaps.
Why did you threaten him?
I didn't want people to know.
You didn't want him to know you were a barrel racer?
No, I was a girly girl at school.
Oh. But when you got to the house,
We raised quarter horses
you did. And when did you start running barrels?
when I was 14.
14. And what was your first horse? 14. What were you running? Who were you running?
His name was Dusty Dan. He's a great-grandchild of Poco Bueno.
Poco Bueno. Okay.
And that's what we raised. And that was just all of my life until I had my first child.
Okay.
Horses had to go.
You stopped when you had your first child.
Yep.
And did you stay involved in rodeo after the baby was born?
No, couldn't afford it.
Couldn't afford it. Either going to have a family or you're going to rodeo.
Right.
Right. Which is more expensive, rodeo or
Kids.
kids?
And she's 50. And she threatens me every day. If you get on a horse or a motorcycle, you're going to be grounded.
Okay. Your daughter, she's going to ground you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do a lot of work up here. How many years you been doing this?
The last 3 or 4, but I cook for the church. I cook for school.
Yeah.
And between 10 great grandkids, 7 grandkids, and their spouses,
Oh my goodness.
and my 3 kids,
Yeah.
we eat every holiday at my house.
Oh my goodness. Well, yesterday when Ruthie pulled in, I got to meet her. Marlon and I were out there, and I helped her carry in all the desserts. I think we made 3 or 4 trips.
Yep.
The truck, the car was loaded.
I didn't have room for a folding chair.
Yeah, you had to stand the whole time. That's sad. That's sad. But we got the desserts,
Right, and I drive a 6-speed, and I made it without dropping any.
and that's pretty amazing when you look at the roads you have to drive on to get in here.
Well, last year I went across the top.
Yeah.
And I forgot that hairpin turn at the top.
Yeah. Oh my.
Oh crap! I hit that hairpin turn doing 60 miles an hour.
Oh my.
I didn't lose anything.
You didn't.
I turned a pan of brownies up sideways.
Oh my.
I didn't lose them.
Oh my. That's some good car controls. What that is. That's good racing. That's good driving. Is what that is.
Ernie fussed at me because I was doing 100 Friday night.
What were you doing 100 around here?
I was trying to get home.
Okay. Okay. That seems dangerous.
We had a class reunion Friday night
Oh. Okay.
with a Boston butt,
Yeah. Okay.
barbecue,
Okay.
and peach cobbler.
Peach cobbler. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Well, thank you for stopping by. This has been
Thank you.
fun. Nice to meet you.
You too? You got
Okay.
a plate?
I got a what?
Plate.
A plate? Not yet. Not yet. I'll let the line, and I may go grab that piece of Mexican cheesecake before people get to the dessert table. And we've got Charlie Crowder with us here today. Welcome to Beyond the Chutes. Hold on here. Fix this that way.
There we go.
There we
Got
go.
it wrong.
How's the other one?
Is it okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Got
Well,
'em.
welcome.
Okay.
Welcome to Beyond the Chutes. Good to have you on here.
Thank you very much. Thank you
So
very much, Doug.
you handed out a Legend Award here today.
Well, I received a letter.
You got-
from Charlie Lowry.
Yes, sir. You did. And so step us through that a little bit. He did a wonderful job introducing you.
Yes.
And you told a wonderful story. If you'd share your story.
Well, Charlie Lowry is, of course, a legend, big time legend, and he owned 4L Rodeo Company, And what I was saying up there earlier is my brother Bill and I put on the Circle C rodeo production for 22 years. And so we did. And I rode bulls for on and off for 25 years. And my brother Bill, he had been a decade or so before me, and he was a big-time hero, as it always your big brother is. And Bill became, what I was saying up there earlier, when we were having it, I wanted to honor Bill. Bill passed away, but Bill became the president of the American Cowboy Association, and he had been out of the circuit and away from it for a good many years. And I had made the finals, is what I was telling, and Bill came to the finals with me and pulled my rope in to help me and came back. Well, people, of course, greeted Bill. He's back after several years. And I really didn't say up there, but I should have. Used to be, as we rodeoed all over when I was younger, and Bill and Joe Sims were together. I didn't have a name. My name was Bill's little brother. And so I didn't get it out up there. I'll get it out here. So when he came back to the finals with me, and he hadn't been around, they didn't know his name. They knew him as Charlie's big brother.
Okay.
So, and I said, that's time about fair play. But
Yeah.
no, he was terrific, and that's why I wanted to honor him. He took the ACA and brought all the contractors who had been kind of fighting with each other from Louisiana, Billy Kalinsky or Clyde Gilmer or Charlie Lowry or all of them, all over the Southeast. And Bill brought it together, and they kept him president for about 3 years.
Okay.
I got to go to the finals, and that picture on that award that Marlon surprised me with is riding Witch Doctor at those finals. So, and the other story I was telling was that during the time, people call it the Texas swing now, when the cowboys stay together and they go through Texas on the PRCA to keep them in one area. Well, back years ago, we had the southern swing, the Georgia swing, where they would start in Huntsville and come to Cedartown, Rockmart, and a big rodeo was the Cobb County Sheriff's Posse rodeo. And so we would all enter, believe it or not, as locals. We didn't want to buy a permit, and I didn't buy a permit because I thought, I'm not going out west. Might as well save up permit money. So again, my story up there is what I was telling was my heroes were there. Pete Gay, who was Donnie's brother, could ride, and Donnie Gay, T. Hyde, Jerome Robinson, Ricky Lindsay, every one of them that I followed that were top 15 PRCA bull riders. They had come to Georgia to go through this string. And ended up, I'd drawn Spike, number 77, which was a bad bull to hook you. And I thought, I am not coming off this bull and let him catch me like he does everybody else. Anyway, to make the story easy, I ended up winning the bull ride against all of those PRCA champs, and so kind of acclaimed the game. But I went on and so went to Huntsville, Alabama, EC Hunt again, ended up winning the bull riding there. Came back to the next PRCA rodeo in Cedartown, ended up winning the bull riding there.
Wow.
So I came to Rockmart, the last of the little swing of the rodeos where they got, and I ended up winning Rockmart rodeo bull riding. So EC said, Charlie, you've won so much money. You won 2 or 3, 4,000. You won plenty of money to fill your permit and get your card. And I said, yeah, but the only problem is I've been riding as a local. I've been fibbing about my address all over the Southeast using other people's addresses. So I didn't have to, because I thought I'm not going to go out west. But
Yeah.
But anyway, that was always my little claim and funny story with him saying, look at you, done filled your permit, but you didn't really do it the right way.
So you told a story, and this is the picture that's on the award. Witch Doctor, you said,
That's right.
at the finals. What do you remember about that ride? All the way from knowing you drove him, step us all the way through it.
Well, I droned the other bulls. I droned Elevator and another bull named, what was that bull's name? Catch Me If You Can Catch Me or something like that. And I'd ridden them, and so I was winning the bull riding, winning the championship. And Witch Doctor, thank goodness they took that picture when they did, because Witch Doctor was a skinny bull in the front end. He didn't have any shoulders. So you get in as a bull rider, you wanted them to have shoulders so you could pull your rope down right behind those muscles on their shoulders and be able to push against them when you need it. Well, he jumps high and stands on his head like he is in that photograph. Probably about the next jump after that photograph, if not closer, I went right over his head.
Oh my!
And I wasn't gonna let go again. I hung on to him, and it's kind of like you remember it. And I remember looking eyeball to eyeball with him, like I'm not letting go. This is the last one. I gotta make, but I didn't make the whistle. I was right there. I was about 7.5 seconds.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
And witch doctor threw me over the top of his head.
Yeah. So we're sitting in this beautiful, what they call the cove.
Yes.
You grew up in this area? You're from around here.
I'm from Cobb County, actually, and we put on the Alpharetta Rodeo is the one we put on. But yes, we all consider ourselves in North Georgia, but we all traveled all over, and so the Cove has always been Mountain Cove's always been the sort of the daddy of them all for us in this area, being it went on for now 70, 75, 80 years now. This rodeo's been a tradition. So yes, but growing up, this is close to home when you can drive or be an hour and a half away from a rodeo. It's easy enough.
Absolutely. And you competed right down here by the barn?
I competed, I want to say 3 different times here at Mountain Cove. I want to say 2 or 3 times. Been a few years, been a couple of years since I was here. So, but Mountain Cove was always the big traditional rodeo and a great place to be. So, as we all can see, this is God's country for sure. There's beautiful scenery and beautiful pastures and beautiful mountains.
Absolutely. Very, very pretty. And did you ride a lot of Preston Folk stuff?
I rode on Preston Folks some as far as, and then his son, Presty.
Yes.
I would go to those rodeos, and Preston might have been just a little bit before when I was coming into riding, and so I didn't ride as much of the one they're talking about here, Preston, but I did know Liesl Harris. I did know all of those fellows that were the main names in it. So, but I rode. He was here. Charlie Lowry, of course, 4L. David Duke was a stock contractor here. Thinking who else was here as far as stock contractors, and all of those guys are who we all traveled the circuit and rode in those areas. And then E.C. Hunt, the one I'm talking about, was the PRCA stock contractor out of Alabama.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Any Liesl Harris stories stand out for you?
Liesl, I did know Liesl, but not as close as all these fellows did. Again, he was a little older, but I can remember the first time I ever saw Liesl Harris years ago. There was a bull named Graveyard Charlie, something like my name almost. And I never forget, a fellow named Nelson Spots had it. Liesl ended up, he was bullfighting, and that bull caught him and rear-ended him with a sharp horn. And I can remember watching Liesl go over and take his pants down, and he had a knot big as a grapefruit on his rear end, but tough as could be. And we all loved Liesl. He was the king of the clowns and bullfighting all at the same time. He was everything you look for, and of course went on to become the president of the association, IPRA Association, and all the way through our PRCA, IRA, all of the associations. So, no, Liesl was a terrific ambassador for our rodeo.
Perfect. Any memories of Loretta Lynn Rodeo?
I just went to Loretta Lynn rodeos. I would see her up there. Marlon, he was right there with her, but she would come and sing at that same DeKalb County Sheriff's Posse Rodeo when it was at the old fairgrounds, before they moved it over to the Stone Mountain Park. And so that's where it was. And so she would be there. Her son actually was trying to be a saddle bronc rider.
Jack.
Might have been Jack.
I think so.
I think it was Jack. he was trying to call himself and start saddle bronc riding. But no, those were great rodeos, and to have somebody famous as Loretta Lynn there to open it and sing. All of us would stand in the arena, we're gaping at her because we were thinking, look at there, we're getting to see the real Loretta Lynn. And she did a lot by doing that and having those rodeos.
So final comments on this reunion, Charlie.
This is one of the greatest things. As we all give accolades to Marlon and Claire and Bill Harris and all the ones. They started off with a table full about like what we're sitting at right here, and moved it up to a little restaurant and moved it up and kept going. Well, Marlon, being the personality he is, and Claire, they have really done a wonderful job, and everybody loves it. So it started probably with 5 or 10 people, and we're up to probably 200 or 300. I don't know how many were here, but many, many people, and what a great event. And not a better guy in the world than Marlon Harris. He's one in a million. And say I traveled with Marlon. Marlon and I about the same, and so he and I rodeoed together, and we traveled throughout the Southeast. He was a bull rider for a little while, but then found his calling to being a bareback rider, and that's where he went to the finals and bareback riding several years. But Marlon and I have been friends and been traveling buddies for many, many years, and our families have always been very, very close. So can't say enough about what he's done for putting this cowboy reunion on. What a wonderful tradition.
Absolutely. We'll see you next year, number 11.
Absolutely. We'll see you.
Pleasure
Thank you
to
so
meet
much
you.
for the interview.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it, Doug.
You bet.
Thank you for what you're doing for us.
All right. Thank you, Charlie.
I think we got a few more good champions coming up this way. There you go.
Adam.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Marlon, I appreciate you. Everything he says is a lie, so don't believe anything.
Is that right?
Get out of here. He started bull riding over in our backyard a little bit.
Yeah. Put those on?
Yeah, put those on. That way you can hear over the noise just a little bit.
Yeah.
So another Legend Award winner today here at the Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion.
Yep.
Anniversary number 10. Great to meet you, Adam Wood.
Nice to meet you, Doug.
Good to have you on the show.
Thanks. Glad to be
So, give us a little bit. You had a wonderful acceptance speech. Share a little bit. Share a little bit of that, and share whatever you'd like to share.
Well, it meant, I don't know how they come up with who wins this,
Yeah.
but it means a lot.
Yeah.
It's tough for me to say it because it chokes me up, but it means a lot to me.
Excellent.
It means your friends have respect for you.
You bet. And that's important.
Yeah.
That's important.
Life, I just give it everything I had every time.
Yeah.
That's all. And
Yeah.
that's what they know.
And you had quite a career, dude.
Yeah, I got to ride bulls for 20 years.
How did you even get started?
I saw it on TV when I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen then, but I knew that day that's what I was going to do one day.
Nobody in the family was rodeoing.
Oh, my Uncle Bud used to rodeo a little bit.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he rode bareback horses and bulls.
Yeah.
But I did it a whole lot different.
My goodness.
I took it very seriously.
Yeah.
We had fun.
Yeah.
As much as you could.
Yeah.
But I took it serious, and I think that's what everybody respected from me.
Yeah. And not without danger, not without injury.
Right.
Talk a little bit about,
Well, we were at the Southeast Circuit Finals in '92.
Yeah.
And Friday night I was 80 points. Saturday night I was 85 points. And I was 11 points out in front of everybody going into Sunday. And then Sunday I was getting on my bull and he got his head in the bucket chute. He was bad about putting his head down in the corner.
Okay.
So I was about to crawl off of him.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm pulling myself out of the bucket chute. He jerked me down into the bucket chute and broke my jaw.
Broke your jaw.
Broke it in the front, on the side, and dislocated it from the socket. And
He come up with his head? Do you know?
he jerked me down into the bucket
Jerk
chute.
you down? You hit his head?
I hit metal bucket
You
chute.
hit the metal bucket chutes.
Then there's not much give to them.
No helmets back then.
No.
No.
No helmets.
No
We did
helmets.
have vests. We didn't have any
Okay.
helmets.
Okay.
Well, there was some, but I wouldn't wear one.
Is that right?
Still won't wear one.
Still wouldn't wear one.
Nope.
Okay.
But what happened is I crawled out of the bucket chute and I get back in the locker room where the Justin Healer is.
Yeah.
John, he was looking at me and I couldn't feel any of my teeth. And a buddy of mine, his wife was a paramedic. Susan came down there and looked at me and her eyes got about that big. I said, hey, I don't want to know nothing.
Yeah.
She said, what are you doing? I said, this ain't over yet, girl. She said, you're going to ride, ain't you? I said, yes, ma'am. You're damn right I am.
So you still got on a bull that same night?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Well, what happened is the stock contractor, one of his sons, they sent him back. Said, Adam, they want to know if you're going to turn him out. I said, I said, you leave that some bitch standing right where he is. I said, I'm fixing to come back and wear him out.
Wow.
He said, I told him that's what you'd say. I
Yeah.
said, I'll be right back.
Oh my goodness.
So, two of my friends, Kurt and Kent Richards, their dad made them ride with catcher's mask. So Justin Healer wouldn't let me get on until I put that on.
Okay. Okay.
So not only am I got a broken jaw, I got something I've never had on.
Right. Right.
But I did ride him, and I spurted everything I got,
And
and I won everything.
I'm Marlon Harris, flag player. What's that?
my goodness, wonderful to meet you.
My goodness.
My goodness,
Appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's a big deal. Means a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a
my
great
pleasure.
deal.
My pleasure. I get great guests. So wonderful to meet you, Clay. My goodness. We got to talk. You know, I'm only an hour from the Kentucky Horse Park. We got to talk. We aren't done talking.
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, I had a.
So with the catcher's mask, okay, that was Claire, by the way.
Yeah.
Marlon Harris's wife stopped in to say hello. So with the catcher's mask, with a broke jaw, two
I didn't
totally.
really know what was wrong yet.
Yeah, yeah, but you
But
knew
I knew I was hurt.
You knew you weren't feeling your teeth.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I wasn't going to let it end like that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not walking away from something.
Yeah.
I was 11 points ahead of everybody. I
Wow.
was way out front,
You bet. You bet.
and it meant if I won that, I got to go to Pocatello
Okay.
circuit final.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that was a big step I wanted to take too.
Okay.
I just couldn't let it all end right there.
Right.
So I rode the bull, and I did spurn pretty good. Guys kind of gathered around and said, y'all need to watch this. Adam's mad.
Yeah.
And I took it out on him.
And the bull riders watched.
Yeah. Well, it was something I had to do.
Yeah.
And then, not only that, I had a kid in the Special Olympics part.
Yeah.
I had stuff for them to do after the rodeo.
Yeah.
And since I won, I had to take my kid and
Oh,
take
okay.
him through everything.
Yeah.
So that was an important thing for me to do.
Okay. So you do that when you go to the hospital.
It happened about 3 o'clock. I guess about 3 hours later, I got to the Pensacola hospital.
And they did what?
They looked at me when I checked in, and the lady said, honey, your jaw's broke. I said, no, man, it can't be broke. I wouldn't be able to talk to you. She said, no, it's broke. So I thought, okay, we're in and out of here.
Yeah.
No. I was in there for 3.5 hours when they looked at me.
Okay. So what'd they figure out?
Figured out it was a broken jaw, had to have surgery. I said, can I have
did.
the surgery at my house,
Yeah.
at home instead of here? Oh, yeah, by all means, you can
Yeah.
go home.
Yeah.
I said, you going to give me something for the pain? He said, here. He gave me a bottle of Tylenol 3 with codeine.
Oh my. Okay.
I said, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
This ain't going to do nothing.
Yeah.
So we live in Ackworth, Georgia, so it's about a 7-8 hour drive.
Holy cow! With a broke jaw.
Yep.
And with hardly any pain meds.
Maybe a beer or two.
Yeah.
But no, nothing. And when I got to the hospital, we got home. My wife said, Adam, you want to take a shower? I said, no. Get
Yeah.
me to the hospital.
Get you.
now."
Yeah. Time to
I
go.
said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And the lady, the nurse, she grabbed me as soon as I walked in. She said, come on, you need to come with me. I'm going to give you something you need.
Yeah.
And that's when the pain went away.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
But it
Wow.
was I didn't do it to impress anybody. I did it because that's what I had to do.
Yeah, yeah. And you won.
Yeah.
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 Went to Pocatello.
Yep.
And how long did it take for you to heal up? They wire it shut, by the way?
Yeah. I was wired shut for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And
Ate through a straw?
it had to go through a strainer.
Strainer.
Before I could get it in.
Yeah.
It was pure liquid.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got down to like 138 pounds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But when I came back, I went to the doctor, and it was 6 weeks later. He took the wires off.
Yeah.
He said, I think it's still a little early for you to go this week to the rodeo. I said, no, doc. I said, I got a boxer's mouthpiece that covers both sides.
Okay.
And that's the only reason I still have my teeth, because I was wearing an actual mouthpiece.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
You were. I was going to ask.
Yeah,
when,
I meant to mention
wow.
that, but I forgot.
Wow.
But the doctor told me that's the reason I have my teeth.
Oh,
so
wow.
he said, I don't think you need to go. So come see me Monday when you get home.
Yeah.
So I come in, and I had won Kissimmee.
Okay.
rodeo that
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Yeah.
The doctor said, how'd you do? I said, I won about $5,000.
Yeah.
He said, well, what the hell do I know, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, I told you, doc, it
Yeah.
was time to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, I know when it's time, and it was time.
Okay. Okay.
And one more short story, and then I'm done, or you tell me when. But I cracked the second, third vertebrae in my neck in Texarkana,
Yeah.
so I had to take a few weeks off.
Just a few.
Yeah,
So you basically let me make sure that I kind of got the prognosis. You basically broke your neck.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's what they.
And
told
you
me.
took a few weeks off.
Yeah, and I really often thought if I ever broke my neck, I would think about quitting. But I said, you know what? I'm not done yet. Nope, it's not over. Can't breathe.
And no effect of nerves or arms or nothing.
I wore the neck brace thing for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
Because it made my wife feel better and
Okay.
made me feel better because she felt better.
I see. I see.
And it won't do anything stupid, but
Yeah.
it was. They called me up from the Bull Riders on.
Yeah.
I said, Adam, can you come to Casper this week? I said, it's a week early. I said, but I'll be there.
Okay. Okay.
So we get there, and Gary LeFew,
Yep.
who taught me how to ride bulls,
Yep.
he was one of the announcers. And I said, Gary, I said, meet me in the bar downstairs before we go over there.
Yeah.
He said, okay. All right. And we were talking. He said, okay. He said, Adam, I got to know. What's your mentality when you come back from an injury?
Yeah.
I said, I've been home for 3 months. I said, them some bitches owe me something. I'm fixing to take it out of their ass. He said, you came down here wanting a pep talk from me.
Yeah.
He said, now you got me ready to get on one.
Okay. Okay.
And it worked out. The first bull I was getting on was a young bull. He's fought the bucket shoot pretty bad.
Okay.
So the guy pulling my rope, David Bailey, put a head rope on the bull and put him on the head rope.
Yeah.
And I said, David, is that necessary? He said, you take care of your business, I'll take care of mine. I said, "Okey doke." So he said, well, who's pulling your rope? I said, the guy you got on the head rope. He just reached around and grabbed somebody and said, here,
Yeah.
come pull this guy's rope.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And he went out there and he turned the corner, and I was 80 points on him.
Okay.
Started spurring him, and that's when Gary told me afterwards. He said, once you started spurring, you said, I knew you had it. I said,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we had the short round, and I got on this big Charbray bull. He was huge, and this was August. He hadn't been rode but once all year long.
Okay.
I said, okay. First week back, they're not making it easy on me.
Yeah.
First I get a shoot fighting this damn bull, and now I got this big old thing that ain't been rode but once all year long. So I rode him. I ended up winning second. But when I went to get off of him, he kicked my feet up in the air, and I landed right on top of my head. Got up and kind of twisted my neck around. I said, well, hell, I guess I'm okay.
Holy cow! No effects after that.
No.
Man, that's fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been blessed to be able to do this as long as I could.
20 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And the reason I had to quit is because I got hurt.
You did.
I did something damage to my leg. Nobody could tell me exactly what was wrong.
Oh, okay.
And they wanted to do some kind of exploratory.
Oh, my.
said, no.
Yeah.
I guess it's the good Lord's way of telling me it's time to go.
Okay.
Because that was one of the things I always wanted to make sure I did is walk away while I was still good.
You bet.
Not
And that
holding
makes
on to
sense.
something that's not there.
Nope. And that makes
I took a lot
sense.
of pride in what I did.
Yeah, that's apparent.
I always thought I could be better,
Yeah.
but until recent years, I didn't realize how good I was to everybody else's eyes.
I see. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
And that's that humility, right?
Yeah.
And you got to have that. You're always improving. You always can do more.
Anytime you got thrown off.
And everybody else thinks you're top of the mountain.
Yeah.
That's
And,
pretty
you
cool.
know, the way I looked at it, if you got thrown off that
Yeah.
day, you lost twice.
I see.
Not only did you lose to the bull, you lost to everybody else.
I see.
And guys will tell you, my attitude was second place is the first loser.
Okay.
That's the way I.
That's
the
the way
I
you're
went
built.
Went after.
Yeah.
And that's all I ever know is just 100%.
Well, that's cool.
And I think people respected that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I never was a world champion,
Uh-huh.
but in this neck of the woods, everybody knew who I was.
Okay.
And they knew I was the guy that had to get beat.
Okay.
Guys would come down to Kissimmee every year, and,
You bet.
and they would wait until I got done before they started counting their money.
You bet. You had the reputation.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, and I'll let you go. You tell me when to stop. But we were at Kissimmee, and Kevin was with us,
Okay.
and it was I forget. It was Sunday afternoon, probably.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter when.
Yeah.
I was only like 75 points that day
Okay.
because my bull. I was probably at about halfway across the pin, and it was on the football field, so you can figure out
Okay.
how far away.
Yeah.
But what happened is they jumped on the chute and tripped the latch to the bull that was behind mine, and he was the biggest one.
Oh wow.
I turned around, I hit the ground on all fours. I turned around and I see him coming, and I said, "Oh, this sumbitch is big and he's moving fast." About
So
that
2
time,
bulls in the
boom.
arena,
Yeah,
and then he hit you.
I caught him with my chest.
Oh my God! A second bull.
Yeah,
Oh.
and
Oh.
that was before we were wearing vests.
Oh.
It was just me and him.
Oh man.
Everybody said, "Man, can you breathe?" I said, "No, somebody needs to buy me some air." I was dying here. He knocked.
Any injuries?
They
Severe
said I
injury?
looked like the dummy going across
Oh.
the arena.
Jeez.
No,
That's unfair. I mean, that's not
No,
even.
no.
That's not even.
but
Yeah.
it was one of those weird things that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
I made the newspaper and all that kind
Yeah.
of crap. But
Yeah.
I was lucky. I knew how to take the hit. Just let it go.
You bet.
Don't try to fight it.
You bet. You
Because
bet.
I didn't have time to go nowhere.
Yeah. Wow. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
That is just odd.
Yeah, I've had a pretty interesting life.
I would say so. Well, in the future, we'll get you back on
Yeah.
here. How would that be?
That'd be great. Doug.
Okay. And congratulations
Thanks.
on
This
your
means a lot to me.
on your Legends Award here.
That means a lot to me.
And Mr. Adam Woods, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk again.
Okay,
All right.
that was cool. Yeah, we'll do some more.
Okay. Perfect.
You just let me know when.
Yeah. Careful there. Nice to meet you, Adam.
You too, Doug.
You bet, man. Be safe.
I was happy hanging out with you last night.
Good.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
You get done.
Okay.
Don't tell no lies about me.
I'm on the air now, dude.
That's
It's
right.
all-
This is serious now.
It's all.
He was true.
So we're sitting here again, 10th annual Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion, and I'm sitting with a legendary winner here today. Got the Legend Award,
Yes, sir.
Kevin Ellis. And tell us a little bit about yourself and how cool to get that award.
Oh man, I was telling Donald Chance, my former boss, was the gentleman that gave me the award. It was hard to speak. I mean, when I looked out in that crowd, I mean, there was somebody that I either fought bulls for, worked for, or helped me in some form or fashion. A lot of my heroes were here today, and it was dang sure humbling to get up in front of those people and accept that award, and then to have to talk about it. And but extremely blessed, extremely thankful, and very humbled that I got to say thank you to a lot of people today.
You bet. Talk a little bit about how you got involved in bullfighting. You didn't start out in it.
No, sir. I had an illustrious bull riding career. I had some moments. Phil Broom and Adam Wood kind of took me under their wing and helped me out a bunch. But I got started by accident. A guy named Marty Fink was putting on some schools, and he rode bulls with Adam and them, and he knocked on my truck window one morning. We had gone to a rodeo the night before, and me and my traveling partner Shannon Buckner were going to go back and help him at the school, and he knocked on my window about 7 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Hey, you got your tennis shoes with you?" I said, "Well, yeah, what's up?" And he said, "I need you to fight bulls this morning. Junior's not going to make it." And I looked at him and I said, "There ain't no way in heck." So we had a few words with each other, and I knew all the bulls, knew what needed to be done with them, and turned back the first one that jumped out there, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And one thing led to another, and I'm working 3 practice pins a week, and people started to help me. And that's what Adam told you. He was there one night, and he said, if you ever get on another one, I'm going to break both your legs. This is what you need to be doing. And I had a lot of help.
Yeah,
a lot of help. Went to get my PRCA card, and again, Adam and Phil put me in the truck, and I'd actually won some money on my permit riding bulls, and then the whole bullfighting deal started, and they put me back in the truck and took me to all the circuit rodeos with them, and reintroduced me to a lot of the contractors and committees in the Southeastern Circuit, and I fought bulls for Charlie Lowry, who everybody knows who Charlie is, and he's one of my heroes. And but yeah, I've been surrounded by some of the most awesome people for my entire career, and it's I got to go do a lot of things, and was successful fighting bulls, and just very thankful and very blessed.
Pocatello, Idaho.
Yeah, that was a kick. You gotta. In order to get on the list for Pocatello, back when it was the Dodge Finals, you had to be qualified for your circuit finals. And, to work the circuit, Southeastern Circuit, and those guys think enough of you to vote you in there to their circuit or our circuit finals, that was a huge, huge deal to me because, the buckles and money are great, but when them guys think enough of you to vote you in there,
yeah.
That means more than anything.
You bet.
Then you had to get it a few years before you kind of got on the list.
You bet.
And again, people speaking out for me, and man, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I got to go to some other cool places. San Antonio, the Extreme Bulls there. But I think Okeechobee, Florida, is where was definitely the hardest, funnest, most scariest rodeo I ever got to work. And I found out whether I wanted to fight bulls or not after going there.
I've heard that. I don't know if you know Rockin' Robbie Hodges.
Yeah, me and Ben Lee were the ones that threw Rob's name, and I'd look over your shoulder and have Robbie Hodges in the can, was like having another guy in the arena with you,
And he talked about those bulls down there. If you can fight them there, they are mean son of a guns, he said.
Yeah, they're pretty tough. And, I got to fight there with a lot of great guys. And again, having guys like Robbie and different folks in the barrel, that was so cool to have them there.
So for our listeners, talk about what a barrel man does for you. We think of him as funny man, right? They're out there to entertain in the middle of it all, but no.
Well, they're like an island of safety for us and the bull riders. I mean, those guys, I think they have the best seat in the house to really watch the whole area. They can watch the bull rider, the bullfighters, and they can position themselves in there like Robbie and a lot of them guys do. They can tip that barrel over in the right spot and save a life. I mean, whether it's the bull rider, if we get knocked around or taken out of the equation, I really think they can see the whole picture and be able to move in and take care of guys.
You bet. So when did you retire from fighting?
2012, I think.
Okay. And any injuries? Why'd you decide enough's enough?
Man, it was time. I had made it till I was 45 years old.
You fought bulls till 45?
Yes, sir.
Holy cow.
And I credit that to these guys that were here, kind of steered me in the right direction of who to talk to and who to get help from and that kind of thing. And doing some things, I hope, correct, and listening to those guys that, my mentors, my heroes. I'd bug them. I'd get on the phone with them and, talk bullfighting all the time. Okay. And I think they were the ones. And I had a really, really good medical team in my hometown of Rome, Georgia. I mean, learning that going to those Justin healers when I was at the rodeos, and then I could go home. A lot of those guys and ladies knew what sport I was in and knew the timeline I needed to get better.
Yeah.
But they could do it quickly and healthy.
Yeah.
And they're the reasons, I fought bulls till I was, they would help me get over an injury. And I could be right back in the arena. And, just having those guys and those other bullfighters that, I worked well with, there's so many variables that enabled me to fight bulls that long.
Good to have a sport team.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And we always come back to this. Certainly there's the big moments in the arena, but most of the folks sit down in the chair, they talk about the relationships, and you talked about all the people that helped you through this and gave you the right guidance. And quite frankly, it sounded like you had a promotion team there when you jumped in, and they went back around and introduced you to all the...
And, you couldn't do it. I couldn't have done it on my own. I had a huge support system. Having guys like Adam Wood and Phil in your corner who were very well respected, and Charlie Lowry and Marty Fink and Shannon, but I could go on and on, those guys, sticking their neck out for me and saying, hey, you might want to hire this guy.
Yeah, you bet. Well, what an honor to have you in this almost a Hall of Fame here, right? 10th annual, and the year of the bullfighter, and Liesl Harris to be inducted in the same year as Liesl Harris.
Yeah, I was just telling Cody, there's so many things I learned from a lot of people, but things that he said you better put in your pocket and hold on to, and he said a couple of things that I've held on to my entire life. So.
Okay. You want to share one of those things?
Keep your feet on the ground.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah, keep your feet on the ground. So, and I'll never forget that as long as I live.
I'll be done. And what does that get you?
Well, you can't fight bulls in the air, so keep your feet on the ground.
So no jumping, no...
there are times...
Certainly.
Things that happen, but do your best to keep your feet on the ground.
Okay.
From Liesl Harris.
Okay. Man, what a great way to end this interview, and congratulations,
Thank you,
Kevin.
Sir.
And we'll see you next year.
Yes, sir. I hope so.
Okay. Thank you for joining the show.
I'd love to get you to come out to the college where I work.
Oh, excellent.
We're breeding all of our mares to 4-6 stallions and the King Ranch and with the whole Yellowstone thing.
Okay.
We're really, and Marlon will tell you more about it. But I've been there 24 years now, and it's something
you
else.
mentioned that. Yeah. So on the back, UPC codes. This is our sponsor. You want to go check them out.
Okay.
They build medical devices for veterinary clinics, and they work with the University of Kentucky out of Lexington.
Sure, no.
So let's find out what you got. Otherwise, we're building resistance, basically.
Yeah.
But check them out, and yes, I would love to come to the university there with you.
Shoot, my niece just went to the University of Kentucky and toured the campus.
Okay, so excellent. Small world, dude.
I've got a veterinarian at Hagyard, the veterinary clinic there, and I've got a student, several students up there in the Lexington area.
Okay,
so.
okay. I'm about an hour from Lexington. We're over by Louisville.
Very good.
Yeah.
Doug,
I don't know if you know Sam Swearingen.
I know of him. I think we might have met.
He's my partner on this. His son, Dalen Swearingen.
Dalen, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know who he is.
Right.
Thanks again.
You bet, man. Be safe. Doyle, I'm so sorry it's warm. We've been talking about doing this for a while now. So if you don't mind, put these on and get where you're comfortable. And let's see, Let's see how. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Can you hear?
Oh, yeah.
You can hear yourself okay?
Yeah, pretty well.
All right. All right. We are here at the 10th annual Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion. First time for me, and I know it's not the first time for my guest here, Mr. Doyle Beard. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been coming down here when they had all the shows down here. The people sat on the bank down there.
Yeah.
Didn't have no bleachers.
Yeah.
They'd have up on the bank.
Yeah.
They'd bring you sheets, paddocks. Just sit down, lay down,
Okay.
and have a big time.
Have a big time. So, for everybody, he's talking about the Mountain Cove Rodeo, and we're sitting about, I don't know, a half mile, 3/4 of a mile. There's a barn down here on the left side, and the arena was set up there. And
Right.
what year, Doyle? Let me go all the way back. You started working for Preston folks when? How old were you?
About 11 years old.
11 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
My brother, he hauled the stock for John and Preston.
Okay.
And my dad passed away when I was 6. So my older brother, I'd go with him.
Okay.
And people said, your son looks a whole lot like you. He said, that ain't my son. That's my brother.
That's your brother.
And it'd take people, just out.
So this would have been what year? 11 years old in
At 50,
50?
53, I think.
53. 11 years old and 53.
Yeah,
Okay. And
because I was 12 at the rodeo. In October, I turned to 13.
okay. Okay. And do you remember coming here for the very first time?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like coming across that mountain?
Oh, man. I'd never been over. We had hills where I was at. And I got up on top of this mountain over here. And it was way down yonder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Told my brother, I said, I just ain't used to this. And he just laughed. He said, you'll get used to it.
Man, the switchbacks and my goodness, to come up across there. So, and ultimately, you went on and you drove trucks, and you're one of our Legend Award winners here
Right.
this weekend. And what a great job they did introducing you. And you told some great stories up there. Let's hear some of those stories.
Well, where you going to start at?
Well, I like the one with the cross ties.
Oh, man, now that was work.
Yeah.
Oh, my brother would look up on them cross ties on one truck. Here we'd come. Take us 2 days to dig holes and put them cross ties in the ground.
Oh, wow.
They didn't have no tractors to hold theirs back in.
So when you say cross ties, are we talking railroad ties?
Right.
You hauled in railroad ties to an arena, to a rodeo arena.
Right.
Did you take them out when you left?
Yeah.
You did. You
Yep.
pulled them back
Pulled
out.
them back up.
But you had to dig all these by hand, all these post holes by
Right.
hand. Oh my! How
And
much?
it was a job. We tamped them in just like we was going to be there from now on.
You bet. You bet.
Because Preston come by, y'all boys ain't got that tight enough.
Yeah.
And it takes 2 or 3 of us working that post back and forth to get it pulled up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That frees my knees and my hips is wore out.
Yeah. So, in talking to you last night, two knees. You've got knee replacements.
Right?
One hip,
And one shoulder.
one shoulder. All right. And you're scheduled for another hip.
Yeah.
And then if that goes well, maybe another shoulder.
Right.
And I asked last night, any possibility of hydraulics coming in here anywhere? That'd help with them cross ties.
Yep.
So for our listeners, a cross tie is what, 8 inches by 8 inches?
Yep.
What, 8 foot long?
Yep.
Okay. And weighs how much?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Because back in them days, I could pick one end up, but I couldn't pick that whole tie up.
You couldn't carry the whole
Ain't
thing
many
yourself.
people.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen people pick them up and lay them on the shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a sawmill.
Oh. Oh.
My granddad had a sawmill, and he cut some cross ties.
Yeah.
And they had a guy,
Yeah.
he could pick one of them jokers up,
Okay.
walk out there, and put it on the stack. They didn't have no forklift,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they get a big bunch of them made up, then they load them on a big truck and haul them off.
Wow. And you talked about dropping one on your foot or on your brother's
No,
foot?
it's on my foot.
On your, thank goodness.
If it had been to my brother's foot now, I may not be here today.
That's a heavy, that bust a toenail, break a toe.
It hit right on the side of it,
Oh.
just like my finger. One side of my toenail turned red,
Oh,
but I didn't lose it.
you didn't lose it.
No.
That's pretty amazing.
Oh, and we had a guy up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, putting up a rodeo, and we was fencing, and I was tapping the bar, and the boy was taking his foot and kicking the dirt in.
Yeah.
Name was Wheeler Turner.
Okay.
I said, Wheeler, I said, I'm going to hit your toe
Yeah.
because you just kicking dirt in and ain't watching me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I said, you just keep tapping. I'm watching you. And it wasn't 3 times. It took his whole toenail and all off.
Oh, wow.
He
Oh,
pulled
wow.
his boot and sock off, and his
Oh.
toenail was still in the sock. He had
Oh.
turned it inside out.
Oh, my goodness.
Then he was going to whoop me because he was older than me.
Yeah.
And my older brother said, no.
No.
He said, he told you
Yeah.
to get a shovel and put your dirt in instead of your foot.
I see.
So I got away with that.
Okay. Okay. He didn't whoop you.
No, he didn't whoop me.
So you were building permanent fence, basically woven wire,
Right,
and stretch it using trucks, I take it.
right.
Okay. And then you'd bring in the bucking chutes where they would,
No, yeah, back them days it was.
and you hauled all them from Franklin.
Right,
And for our listeners, you're from Franklin, Tennessee,
raised there.
and that's give us, what is that, north and east of Nashville?
South of Nashville.
South of Nashville.
Right.
South of Nashville. Okay. So about
18 miles out of Nashville.
18 miles out of Nashville. And about, in those days, 4 hours to get here?
A good 4 hours.
A good 4 hours.
Because them trucks back them days
Yeah.
didn't run like the trucks do
No.
nowadays.
No. What were you running? 45? 50?
The tops.
At the top. Yeah.
You hit hills,
Yeah.
you'd be down in second gear,
You bet.
running 15.
You bet. You bet. And 2-ton trucks, single axle on the rear. You had
Right.
duals on it,
That,
but you would load bulls right up on top on the bed of the truck.
right.
And how many?
They'd have a load chute.
Yeah.
He had one at his house where he had the bulls.
Yeah.
We'd run them through the barn hall, into the chutes, and up in the truck.
Okay.
In the trucks that day, you had to run up there and set the tailgate in.
You bet. After the last bull loaded.
After the last bull went in.
No gate to swing shut.
No.
No.
And one morning we was loading the bulls and had the last one in, and I grabbed the gate. He turned around and come back
Oh
out.
my goodness. Oh my
He
goodness.
jumped over me, and I fell down under the chute.
Oh wow.
Well, not the chute, but the tailgate.
Yeah.
And it hung into the chute. And here I lay under there. And I jumped up and stood that gate back up to keep the others from coming out.
Oh my goodness.
And after I got them calmed down, I stepped back right out of the chute, and Preston running back up in the truck. And when he did, I was right behind him and set the deal in.
Oh wow.
And I told Preston, I said, now Preston, I said, it's a better way to do this than what we got here.
You bet. You bet.
He said, what are you talking about? I said, have you ever been around these barns where they got these sliding gates?
Ah. Yeah.
I said, I'll get some stuff and we'll make a sliding gate to go on the back of that truck. When I get up
Okay.
there, we'll just slide that gate too, and
Okay.
we'll have it.
Okay. Okay.
He said, well, I said, if you think you can do that, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I went to town, I got that track, got the wheels in there,
Yeah.
worked fine.
Worked fine.
Didn't have no more trouble out of that.
Yeah.
But I worked with him down in South Texas,
Yeah.
and he bought 4 bulls and some horses. And we had a horse trailer, we carried it with us, and he put 2 horses in the horse trailer, and the bulls and a horse or 2 up in the truck. But we loaded this first bull, he went in that truck and he never stopped. He cleared the front gate, the truck,
Over the cab?
over the cab, over the front end, never touched the truck clear.
Really?
he hit that ground running. And it's a man sitting there on his horse, and Preston said, "Go catch that bull for me." He said, "I can't catch that bull." He said, "Can I borrow your horse?"
Yeah.
He stepped off, said, "If you think you can catch him, here he is."
Yeah.
He caught him.
He caught him.
He brought him back, handed me the rope,
Yeah.
because he done drug him back.
Okay. Yep.
And I just went up there and stuck the rope through the cattle rack.
You bet.
Bull came on up there, and I tied it off to the frame.
So he couldn't get up in the air
Oh,
again.
I had him head right against
You
the
bet. You bet.
side.
You bet.
Well, we got to Texarkana. I untied the rope, and he was still standing there. And I could not get that rope. It was so tight, where he'd been fighting it, rope
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I told that guy at the stockyard, I said, "Have you got any kind of hook that I can get to pull this rope back out?" He said, "Can't you use your hand to do it?" I said, "Come here and do it." He couldn't do it either.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So he goes and gets me a hook.
Yeah.
I putted it off, pulled one out, put up it behind the other bull, put him in a pen. We spent the night. Well, we went there and Preston roped him, handed me the rope. Here I run back out, the bull was behind me.
Yeah.
I thought, now if he gets gaining on me, I'm picking jump over these panels right here.
You bet.
But hey, he didn't gain on me.
Okay.
So I run on in the truck, stuck that rope through the side, and the other guy on the outside grabbed it and pulled it down, and I jumped out and tied the rope.
Okay.
When we got to Franklin,
Yeah.
that rope was still loose on his head, and he was standing there with his head up against the side of the truck.
Yeah.
He called it the Great Speckled Bird.
Never jumped out another truck
Never
again.
jumped out again.
No. My goodness, back in those days. And to have that kind of, I believe you said last night you'd put 8 bulls on plus some calves.
Right.
And you'd come across this mountain.
Yep.
And I asked, you had to avoid the scales. You wouldn't want to go to a weigh station.
We'll go around behind them.
Did you?
There's always a road where you can
Okay, bypass
it.
Bypass.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they
okay.
didn't have scales then.
Yeah.
That's the reason we'd come over the mountain, because they had scales down here just before we got into Chattanooga.
You bet.
So we'd turn off. But anyway, we'd come over there and come up over this mountain. No guardrails back in them days.
Yeah.
And roads were there then they are now.
Yeah.
And if you met a car, you hoped that he would get over in the edge of the ditch,
Yep.
because you didn't dare get over too close to that shoulder.
You bet. Soft, right?
Yeah.
Gonna tip a load.
You go boom down
Yeah.
the mountain.
You bet. You bet.
But we
Wow.
didn't have no accidents. Go
Wow.
back them days, people seen that truck coming, they'd automatically pull over.
You bet. You bet. My goodness. My goodness.
And like I said, the only place we had into trouble was coming off the mountain up here.
Okay.
We didn't come around and come in this way. We came off the mountain, had that elbow curve in it.
Yes. 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 Couldn't do that with one full swing, could
No.
you? No. No.
And that wasn't even pulling a trailer, it was just the truck itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a road up here. If you go this way, take a right leaving here. I think it's tight to drive cattle through there. Some of the turns there. I came in there, and man, there were 3 turns where I had to stop, back up, and do it again.
That's probably the same road we was on back
Oh my goodness.
in the
oh
older
my,
days.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All gravel, no
yeah.
pavement.
Yeah. Well, this at least was pavement. This at least was pavement. But man, I've been in tight places, but this was a tight one.
You're
Well-
talking about being tight now when you had to stop and back up,
Yeah.
because you know that all that weight was behind you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Then
Oh.
going back up, you had to stop and back up, and you kept looking at them back wheels
Yeah.
and not getting too close to that shoulder.
You bet. And you better know your gears, and when you let her out, it better be in first.
It go back in first gear, and I'd ease on off.
Oh, you better have it in first and not in reverse.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, Doyle, congratulations
Well,
on
thank
your
you.
Legends Award here today. And
They surprised me with it. I didn't have a clue.
is that right? No idea.
No idea.
Okay. Okay. You planning on coming back next year?
Yes, sir.
All right. And will you have an additional hip the next time?
I'm probably have my shoulder done before.
You think shoulder before the hip?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I was getting where I can't.
I saw that last night. But man, the other arm that they fixed.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's like my knee.
You could darn near do jumping jacks, what I saw last night.
Before when my knees went out, I could start up steps and I'd have to get down and crawl up them steps.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get my foot up on the next step.
Yeah. Wow.
But now then I walk up the steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Got your power back.
And my hip now is getting where when I come off like a set of steps, I'd step and come off.
Okay.
I just can't get muscle back.
Okay.
Because it felt like it stretched this muscle right here.
You bet.
And I just can't.
Yep.
If the steps is about like this right here now, I can go up.
Okay. So you're getting there. You're only a couple inches away from where you need to be.
That's right, because most steps, you're up about 6, maybe 7 inches.
You bet.
But we stayed at the motel down here last night, and their steps was like that right there.
Okay. That's doable.
And I just had the handrail.
Yep.
Right on up a wheel.
Nice. Good. Well, keep doing your PT.
Oh, I am. Till they cut me off.
There you go. There you go. Well, good. We'll keep recuperating.
Okay.
And we'll see you next year. And what a joy to meet you, Doyle. I'm so excited to have met you. You bet. Be safe.
Just hope I'm here.
Well, you'll be here. We'll get you here one way or another. Thank you.
I could tell you a whole lot more, but we ain't got time.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do more. We'll do more. All right. We are here at the 10th Annual Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion, and we've got Mr. Joe Marley sitting with us here today, and his father was one of the inductees as a legend of this great rodeo reunion. So I've asked Joe. He did a wonderful tribute, and I said, Joe, could you come over and do it? I think our listeners would really enjoy learning about your father, nicknamed Kid Marley, and just the history of rodeo and everything that you've got, and a little bit about yourself, if you would, please, Joe, before you get started. School teacher.
Yes. I'm actually a retired school teacher now. I've been retired about 5 years. I taught 26 years. I was an 8th grade U.S. history teacher, coached football and wrestling. But I didn't start teaching until I was almost 40. I was a horseshoer and rodeoed and worked on ranches before that. But I got to looking at the 50-year-old horseshoers, and they didn't look too healthy and prosperous. And I was fortunate that I could go back to school. Wife had a good job. She's very supportive. But I had to take 85 hours.
So you went back. Okay, let me catch up here. So you were a farrier, horseshoer.
Right.
And at a certain age, you said enough of this. And so it sounds like you had some hours already in college.
Oh, yeah, I'd already graduated from college.
Oh, you had?
But
Okay.
In order to become a social studies teacher,
I see.
I had to take the education courses and the social studies classes.
Okay.
Before I could start.
85 hours.
Yeah, which, you take.
Is that a year?
That's 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
By the time you count student teaching.
And did you go full time?
I took full time. I did shoe a few horses on the side, but the first day I went back to school, I went to class. I had 2 horses to shoe on the way home, and it was about 100 degrees. So I go knock them 2 out, and I thought, if I put half the effort into this school that I put into shoeing those 2 horses, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
And that's how I really approached, every day, act like the test is tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, the first time around, I wasn't that good of a student.
Isn't that something what age does?
Yeah, and I rodeoing and doing all that, but now I was a serious student.
Okay.
And really, I tell people, the proudest personal thing, besides family and things like that, is becoming a teacher, being certified.
Okay.
And I made Dean's List every semester.
Nice.
What was called the National Dean's List, and I worked hard for it. So it meant a lot to me.
So you can teach an old dog new tricks.
I was very fortunate. Dr. Womack, who been at MTSU for 50 years, and he said, well, Marley, what makes you think you're going to get a teaching job? I said, well, Doc, my daddy's a policeman, Mama works at City Hall, brother's a principal, cousin's a judge, and I'm a winning football coach. She said, son, that's what it takes. you know.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Wow. Wow.
I was in a great school, stayed the same place. Now, after I quit coaching, I got demoted back to the 7th grade for 3 years.
Oh, you did?
But I finally worked my way up, which I liked. I taught Tennessee history, which was great.
And that's an interesting age.
Yeah, well, 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about brain fog that goes in and again in the 7th grade, but it's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the great kids and great family, great community. It was good.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for helping educate our youth. That's quite a career.
You bet. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk a little bit about your dad. And you have this, and I'm going to take a picture of this so we can get this put up of your sign that you created here, and you had it built very specifically, so they'll be able to see this as you tell your story. So go ahead, do it, man. What a great story.
Well, in talking about this, I'll talk about my daddy. He's born in 1930. Okay, and he was the youngest son of 7 boys, and there were 2 girls. He had a twin brother. And World War II comes along. 5 of them go to World War II. He was too young. Okay, Bud, we call him Big Hungry Marley. He enlisted in the Marines the day after Pearl Harbor. His daddy drove him 300 miles to Fort Worth, and he was in the Pacific Campaign. He was a sergeant. He was at Iwo Jima, they say. And when the guys raised the flag, he cussed them out and told them to get their ass back to work. You know, the other 4 were in Normandy, you know, and going through all that.
So storming the beaches.
Yeah, he wasn't on D-Day.
Okay.
But they all came. They were in Battle of the Bulge.
Okay.
Like and one of them was a prisoner. One of them became a prisoner. But they all lived. They all lived through that. And, well, you know, here's Daddy, and he wasn't much of a farmer. I mean, he didn't like chopping cotton and stuff. He was a cowboy. So when he's 14, he runs away from home and basically goes working on some of the ranches around there, just living from day to day, really. And I tell the story. I lived out there a little while, a couple of years, and I went to West Texas, to Texas Tech at the Heritage Museum, the Western Heritage Museum, and the people who owned most of that country where he was born outside La Mesa, Texas, which is kind of southwest of Lubbock, about 65, 70 miles. They get, 14 inches of rain a year. Y'all see the day they get it.
Yeah.
His family had 1 section of land. Then he's breaking these colts, and I go to that Heritage Center, and they have the Slaughters round pen, just a little old bitty wooden round pen. And I guarantee you, Kid Marley broke horses in that thing. You know?
Yeah,
That's kind of one of his things.
Yeah.
One of the things I have on this sign is him riding a bronc.
Okay.
Most people didn't think of him as a bronc rider because they weren't around at that time. Well, one of the stories they tell around there in Snyder, Texas, not too far from there, one of my cousins told me this, that a Wild West show comes through. And they got this horse. Nobody can ride this horse. You know, $100. Anybody ride this horse? Well, teenager Kid Marley, he rides a horse, you know. He goes to get his $100, and the guy said, "Boy, you didn't ride that horse." So Daddy, he looks around. "How much of this show do you want tore up?" He gets his $100, And he rode bucking horses and bareback horses. I think he broke his leg in a bucking chute one time, and that kind of put an end to that. He winds up working for the Miller Ranch, R. Clyde Miller in Justisburg, which is kind of between Post and Snyder, Texas. They have a pretty big outfit there. And he had 3 boys, and 2 of them were like Daddy's best friends, Ralph and Riley. I think Riley was a year older than Daddy, and Ralph was a year younger. Daddy's in between. And they were just like brothers, Well, it comes to having the Franklin Rodeo. And the Rotary Club in Franklin wanted a fundraiser.
Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay. Wanted to have a fundraiser. And Mr. John Folks, who was Preston's older brother, he was on a committee to help start a rodeo in Franklin. He said that'd be a good way for y'all to raise money and for the Rotary Club. And like I say, I thought it was the rodeo club when I was growing up.
Not the Rotary.
Yeah, but it was. And they had a gentleman named Bob Corley, who was from out west, and he knew the Millers. He had sold tack and stuff to them, and he was also like a car salesman there in Franklin. And he talks to the Millers. They were young boys at that time, and gets them to come back to Franklin. Well, they wouldn't let Daddy come because somebody had to stay work the ranch.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, and Mary Miller, who had just married Riley, they were on their honeymoon. And she said it wouldn't have been any fun at all if Ralph hadn't come. Corley was a car salesman, and he sells them a convertible, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, they kind of got in trouble for that one. But they really are the ones who were really the cowboys at First Franklin, along with the John and Preston folks, a guy named Harley May, who was educated. He was a great rodeo cowboy, but he had gone to San Luis Obispo in California.
Oh, really?
He wrote the rule book for the RCA.
Okay.
You know. Well, he was a great friend of Daddy's too. Well, here comes the next year for Franklin Rodeo. Daddy's on the circuit then, rodeoing with Harley, and they were at some rodeo in Texas. Corley's comes there and said, "Boys, we'll pay you way over there and pay you a little bit. Come to the rodeo." We're not going to do that, man. We're going to California after we win this rodeo.
Right.
You know, and well, they didn't win anything.
Okay.
So they come back to Franklin, and they cowboy the rodeo. And actually, Daddy, we entered a lot of legend clowns today.
We did.
And Daddy was the clown at the Second Franklin Rodeo.
Is that right?
And he was in the bull riding too. But they were just little old farm bulls that hopped across the pasture.
Okay.
And he had a little old floppy hat. He's waving at the crowd, riding the bull, you know.
Oh.
And of course, he was in every event too, you know. When I start to develop this sign, you'll see in the center of it, it's a profile of him.
Yeah.
Well, in 1953, to advertise the Franklin Rodeo, a cartoonist at the Tennessean did a page advertisement, and they had that image in the center of it, and they had different activities going around it. Like Daddy was a horseshoer, you know, and he was a bronc rider, and roper and different things. I call him a real cowboy. That's kind of what I call this whole thing, is a real cowboy. Because he's a ranch cowboy and a rodeo cowboy. And I took that as image. Well, in 1953, I've got a little buckle I wear. It's a calf roping buckle that Daddy won, like for the rodeo's year-end championship. But not only did he win that buckle, he won every buckle.
Okay.
He won every buckle that year. Of course, competition wasn't as tough back then as it is now.
Yeah.
Now, actually, he didn't get the bull riding buckle.
Okay.
Because Preston said, "Oh, kiddo, you won enough. Give that to such and such," and he never did know it. But I'm glad he did get it.
Yeah.
Well, another one of the highlights. Daddy went on the big rodeos. He went to Madison Square Gardens, and one of the big things there is, and some lady here told me the name of this pitcher for the Yankees, the only person to ever pitch a perfect game.
Larson, I believe she said.
And
I think.
And in the World Series.
Yeah.
Well, Daddy's on the same page with him, having won probably the Bulldog at Madison Square Gardens that day.
Okay.
Wow. And he won go rounds at Cheyenne and a lot of the other big rodeos. In 1961 is the first time that a big rodeo like Cheyenne was ever on Wide World Sports. And Daddy wins go rounds there and wins third in the Bulldog. He was winning average till the last two guys. You know, which I'm an 8-year-old kid, man. I'm seeing him on Wild World Sports. Had a huge impact on me. He was my hero.
Yeah.
Growing up, and we go on. And I'd say bulldogging was his best event. He probably won more bulldogging than anywhere. Of course, like Cheyenne, those big rodeos out west back then. Cheyenne, they scored them 30 feet back then. Now I think they score them 20, and they're big cattle, you know. Yeah. So they're booking by the time they get down on them. So anyway, he could always do it. He was country strong.
Yeah.
Had big old strong hands, you know. Not that big a guy. You know, back then he probably weighed 180, 90 pounds.
Okay.
But, he was a cowboy. Then, one thing on this sign, when the guy was making it on the calf roper, I said, "Man, you need to make that calf bigger." Because back then, Preston, man, he had big calves. I mean, they weighed 300 pounds, and they're still sucking the mama cow.
Yeah.
So a lot of people wouldn't like this, but you go out there and you got a horse that's really stop and get back, and when that head thump the ground, you better be there getting up. And but he could win doing that.
Yeah.
Once they started roping these 200-pound calves, he wasn't going to be as tough as some of them Okies, some of them guys, because they were awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome ropers.
Yeah.
So that goes on and goes on. The late 70s, my wife and I, we moved out to West Texas, where he'd wound up. He had divorced my mother, and then it comes Christmas. I think it's 79. And Libby and I, we come back here to Franklin for Christmas. And while we're doing that, Daddy went on a drinking binge. He was a binge drinker. He didn't drink all the time. He was a binge drinker. And he takes his pickup truck, drives out in Riley's pasture, has a 4440, and he's contemplating suicide. And God comes into his life. And he accepts God at that moment. And he turns his life around. He calls my mother, even though they'd been divorced, hadn't had any communication. Bam, she's on a plane. She didn't fly. And they wind up just get married right in a little church right next to our place. He comes back to Franklin. Libby and I, we're staying back out there for a while. And and then he, his life changes at that point. He comes in. Dave Lewis, who was chief of police in Franklin at that time, he wanted a mounted patrol. And here's Kid Marley. I mean, he had no education virtually, almost 50 years old, and he becomes a mounted policeman and starts a mounted patrol in Franklin.
Wow. Which
was really the first one. The Park Service had some mounted patrol guys, but there was no police forces that had mounted patrol. Well, he does. And he's riding his own horses. He's actually breaking his horses while he's doing that. And mainly did PR and park patrol and different things like that. And it was a huge thing. He does that for a good while. But he also starts Cowboys for Christ there in Franklin. Had probably not the very first Cowboys for Christ, but one of the first in this part of the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think about the huge impact that had on our culture. And we see like when we were coming up and we're rodeoing, I mean, I have to say, we weren't going to church much, and we didn't have Jesus in the heart, and a lot of us didn't.
Right.
We're living a pretty wild life. But now I see through our youth programs, through the youth rodeos and high school rodeo, it's centered to that. And it is just, we now have generations of people who have changed their way of thinking because of that. And I think he was a real leader in doing that. If you look at this sign, when you post it, you'll see a little cross next to his face. But then look at it again. The whole thing's a cross.
I see.
So that's kind of like your whole life becomes centered around Jesus and being in the presence of God.
You bet.
And if I have any message that I want to go from this is let God be in the presence of God. I taught Sunday school. I taught fourth grade for about 15 years, and I taught a very advanced adult group. I mean, there had retired preachers in there and all kinds of these dudes, and I had to really study for that. But after doing it for so long, I kept coming back to the same lesson. Be in the presence of God. Be in the presence of God. Now, Daddy had a great, once he became a team roper, he had some really good horses, and he made them himself. I would ask him, or my brother Cody would say, once he says this horse is the best horse I ever had, he's gone. He's selling that horse because he liked to make them.
I see.
And he had a horse called MP, which either mounts Money Pony or Mounted Patrol. But he was one of these draft cross kind of deals, but he could run. And he was a great roping horse. Bobby Hurley winds up with him and wins $250,000, wins the Bob Feist and George Strait just right off the bat. And danged if car doesn't run into the trailer he was in and winds up killing him.
Kills the horse.
Right
Kills MP.
Yeah, kills MP.
Oh,
well, Daddy, he was 76 years old, and this was in 06. He'd had both knees replaced, and he gets this half draft thing. I think it's a piece of junk. And he said, "Well, man, what if it can run?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, yeah, Dad, you got a field full of good horses." And I was riding this good horse, black horse we called Preacher, which had a lot of money won on him. And I said, "Dad, I'll bring Preacher down here." And he said, "No, I'm gonna make his horse." But I think of regrets and things like that. But he's doing exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So not long after that, one morning, he goes out with this guy and he saddles this thing up. They go out there and he didn't have no legs. The horse jumps out from under him, hits his head. He has brain damage, lives about 6 months.
Wow.
And but one other thing I want to tell you about that is I would go. He winds up in this nursing home in Parsons, which is about an hour or so drive from where I live. So every Wednesday after school, I'd go over there. And a lot of days he's pretty good, and a lot of days he's out of it. And well, I go in there one day and he's out of it, and I didn't know what to do. And but I had my Sunday school book, and I'm trying to get ready for my Sunday school. So I got it open, and I'm reading it, and man, I'm just not getting this one today. It's just not speaking to me. And I'm reading that out, and he lifts his old head up and says, "Don't want to be no phony baloney." And boy, that really struck me right there.
Wow.
That's in life, in everything you do, you don't want to be no phony baloney. You want to be real. And that's one of the great things about these cowboy reunions. These people are real. There ain't no phony balonies right here.
Right.
Right. I think that's a great lesson for all of us to live by, is be in the presence of God and don't be no phony baloney.
No phony baloney.
And we talk about miracles. Kind of a miracle. I go back to see him on a Wednesday, and it's the only time he was ever in bed when I was there. And I'm sitting next to him, and I don't know why, but I just kind of placed my hand on top of this about half bald head. And it's cold when I first stayed up there, but it warms up.
Okay.
And I'm praying that if it's his time to go, don't let him suffer.
You bet.
And all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of get up and leave. And that Friday he passes.
Oh wow.
He passes.
Okay.
Whatever that is, if that's a miracle, or it's it's just the way it is.
You bet.
But he's the type of person who impacted so many people.
Yeah.
Just he had star quality.
Yeah.
He wasn't a rich man. He didn't make a lot of money, but he was a star. If he'd have been here, you'd have seen somebody who was special.
Okay.
When he came to a rodeo, a guy told me, he said, man, he always came mounted.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, he'd take a horse you couldn't ride, and he'd beat you on it.
Yeah.
Because he was real. He was a real cowboy.
You bet.
You know. That's about it, Doug.
That's an excellent story.
Okay.
And great lessons. No phony baloney. Be in the presence of God.
That's right.
That's excellent. Thank
Remember
you.
anything. Of course, as a teacher, let's think about what our objectives are here.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's right.
don't be a phony baloney, and be in the presence of God, and
it.
be a real cowboy.
Be a real
Or real whatever you do.
Absolutely.
Be real whatever you do, and speak from your heart.
Yeah.
Be real and do it. And whatever happens, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna be okay.
We hope that you enjoyed this episode of our podcast where we were on site. BTC was on site at the Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion. And each time the BTC bus is on the road, more memories are made. We get to share those memories. We get to remember a whole bunch of memories. And we get to get them recorded and get these stories out into the world. As I said to my friend Marlon Harris, one day these stories are going to really, really matter. So if you have an opportunity to share them, we're posting more and more directly on Facebook. Easy enough to share. Share these posts up around and get them out into the world. Now, this year's Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion Legend Award recipients were Jack Lane, Kevin Ellis, Charlie Crowder, Adam Wood, Joey Franklin, Ben Stone, Doyle Beard, Liesl Harris, Rebecca Hampton, and Kid Marley. We want to say congratulations to these award winners and thank you for sitting with us and capturing some of these stories. Now, I really enjoyed the Cove, and it has a very, very, very special almost spiritual feel. And I'm going to be making plans to be back next Labor Day, 2025. You know, great people, great food, and great conversations. And this was the third rodeo reunion that we attended this year. Earlier this year, we went up to New Paris, Ohio, to King Brothers Rodeo Reunion up there and just really enjoyed ourselves there. We went to Mike Swearingen's 70th birthday and rodeo reunion up in Wyoming, New York, and got to see a bunch of great friends and meet a bunch of great people. And we're making plans for 2025. We are planning on hitting the road again, getting out, and one that's come up on our radar is Jerry Todd's reunion in February down in Alabama. And we'd like to say thank you to ParaSight Systems for their support with our podcast. You know, the BTC buses' wheels go round and round. Thank you to ParaSight Systems for that. And, of course, ParaSight System is a push-button parasitic diagnostic system for your pasture animals, your horses, your cattle, your goats, your sheep, your chickens, and for your companion animals now, your dogs and your cats. We say keep your horses in top conditions. A mile that you are driving, they are riding in the trailer. And we say let's test, don't just treat. Let's not build any super worms. Let's not build any resistance. So let's get our testing done. And to do that, you can find them at ParaSightSystems.com. And we've got a coupon code BTC023 for 50% off your mail-in testing. So do check them out. And I want to encourage you to listen to the Rodeo Roots podcast. Rob and Danagan and the announcer Blue Jeans, they are recording some great interviews with some great rodeo cowboys and cowgirls. And you can find that podcast, the Rodeo Roots podcast, on all the major streaming platforms. And we want to say thank you, a big thank you to the IRA Project Facebook group for all their help and guidance. Mr. Tim Sparks, thank you for putting this together and helping us gather all this great history. And Mr. Marlon Harris, you've really helped us connect with the rodeo greats of the IPRA. And you want to check out the Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion. They've got a website, mountaincoverodeoreunion.com, I believe it is, and they are definitely on Facebook. And they've got great pictures and great report out on the reunion they had this year. Go on Facebook, and that is the Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion Facebook group page. Until next time, this is Doug Simcox from the Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion. Thank you for listening.